Ciao ragazzi, welcome everybody. We're back. Serie A season starting in a couple of weeks, and we're here to talk all about Inter Milan, the champions of Italy. And I'm here today with the biggest AC Milan supporter that I know, Michele. How are you, mate?
Ciao, Mr. Lazio, Vincenzo. You been, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a hectic preseason. You know, we just jumped straight off the Euros, and it seems like it's only been a couple of weeks, and so much has happened. It's been exciting, but we better get straight to what we're here for today. And we're here because I've been inundated with so many questions from Inter supporters, from all supporters, really, but a lot from Inter supporters. And they're actually saying that they're not happy. A lot of them aren't happy, and they're worried. But there's two big points why they shouldn't be worried, why they should be pumped about the season. But we'll get to those ones later. We'll be a little bit negative first. And I believe it was Anthony that asked me this question, and he said that the Inter history was the internationals. They were founded to be the internationals. Otherwise, they'd still be AC Milan. So they wanted to play with a different style and use foreign players, and they're real worried because these Chinese owners have come in and they've stolen their identity because they've changed the name, so the internationals are gone. They've changed it to Inter Milano, and Inter Milano to them sounds like an American franchise. They've changed the badge. They've changed the sponsor, the Pirelli sponsor as well. And I think more importantly, I think they're worried about the jersey because the jersey actually looks like a dragon skin rather than a snake skin. So do you think they've got cause for concern, Miguel?
Well, that's the whole thing. I think that I'm a big believer in history and not changing where you come from. And like you said, this Inter Milan, they're international, but now, there's a lot more Italian players being played. The logo's changed, obviously. Just certain little aspects, and where everyone has their identity and stuff like that. But what's this for Inter? You know what I mean? Like, is this the way they want to go? Is it you know what I mean?
I think they're quite lost, to be honest. I think that the new ownerships come in and they're not happy with the sales. They're not happy. 12 months ago they were really happy with what's going on, but now it seems like a disaster. It seems like a sales inevitable. But they I've had questions about Conte, about how much Conte really means to that team. And a lot of people are saying that he didn't play Skriniar at the start of the season, said that he couldn't fit in a three-man defense, and then he was forced to play Skriniar with injuries, and obviously Skriniar was brilliant. And the same thing happened with Eriksen, which changed the season around. He was forced to play Eriksen, and because Vidal was hurt, and all of a sudden Inter win the title off the back of Eriksen playing. A lot of Inter fans were saying that it was all Conte changing this great Eriksen player. What do you think? Do you think that Conte was this sensational coach, or do you think that they just spent a lot of money, bought a lot of players, and won the title?
Well, that's the thing. I think out of a situation like that where you're forced to bring these players, you're left with no choice. And the positive side of that was they prevailed and they were good. And now it makes Conte look better than what he said that he did. You know what I mean? Like, I think out of just a fluke like that, it went his way. And, like, you see what happened. If they didn't get injured or whatever like that, and he was playing that same sort of system, who's to say that they would have won? I don't think that. I think it was just more out of luck. That's just my opinion.
Well, that's another thing that a lot of maybe not Inter supporters, but a lot of maybe Juventus supporters, maybe AC Milan supporters. I've been getting a lot of questions about Inter winning the COVID championship.
Mm.
Personally, I think it was a COVID championship, just because a lot of teams had to play back-to-back games, back-to-back, and a lot of the lesser teams couldn't do it. Juventus had a lot of injuries, a lot of defensive injuries. They were in, they were out. Lazio had a lot of COVID cases. AC Milan were destroyed. I thought that they played the best anyone played to the eye. Like with their attacking style for a long period of time. They played really well. I felt that Inter's anti-football got them across the line, and there was a lot of, Capello, Vieri, they came out, particularly against the Sassuolo game, and criticised Inter for the anti-football. Do you think that Inter would have won the title without COVID?
No, I don't think so. I think that, look, I definitely think that what helped them as well is that their failure in Europe, that was a big bloody plus for them, because then they had nothing really to play for but Serie A. They had a squad built with the millions and millions of dollars pumped into it, a squad for Europe that essentially didn't even need to play for Europe. So they had this big squad that, they didn't have too many injuries, though. There was a lot of depth. The consistency of AC Milan, pretty much you could almost say a full season. So if you're going back to the previous season, they were undefeated, 10 or so games. Then coming into the next half, they were winter champions. So the consistency was there. The brand was brilliant. But we were just riddled by injuries and COVID. Not to say that, every other club copped it as well. I'm not saying that. But I think that it did, obviously, it was a big disadvantage for Milan. We still had to play Europe as well, Juventus as well. Juventus was in almost like a rebuilding stage too. They copped a lot of shit. So it was pretty much on a plate for Inter. So, it just paved the way.
Yeah, well, I think with Juventus, they bit the bullet a bit early. They got rid of Matuidi, Higuain for a loss. Like they bring in Pirlo, and they bring in a very young midfield with McKennie, Arthur, Kulusevski, Chiesa. So they've got a lot of young players. I think they bit the bullet last year, and I think they're going to be much better this year. It would have been nice to see a full-strength Juventus take on a full-strength Inter to see who would go all the way, but that's done and dusted. I feel that this season, Inter get to prove that they are the true champions, and this is where the positives come, because a lot of Inter fans are talking about the fact that Lukaku has virtually gone. It's not confirmed just yet. He's virtually gone. Hakimi's gone. And that's about it from their starting 11 that started the season last year. They're missing two players. And I'd pretty much say most teams across the league would have at least two players change from the team. And this is the thing that a lot of Inter fans don't realise, that Ciro Immobile is one of the best strikers the Serie A's seen for a long, long time. He's won 3 leading goal scorers, and no one's really done that in recent history. The last one I remember was Beppe Signori to win 3. So that's a long, long time ago. So, they talk about, oh, yeah, he scores a lot of penalties. Well, it's not really the case. When he won his last leading goal scorer, he had 36. And if you take the penalties away, he still wins the leading goal scorer. He's a sensational player, but he plays a completely different role to Big Rom. Big Rom can sit back, get the ball, turn a defender with his size and pace. However, Ciro likes the ball played in front of him. So I think that this is a big plus for Inter, if they can make a lot of money from Big Rom, and then they get a striker that fits Inzaghi's system better. What do you think?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Um, I think that it's just a positive, you know. And look, I think that a lot of like you were saying about Immobile, I think he cops a lot of shit as well. Like especially, you can see stats don't lie. He was fucking brilliant all season, and then like a lot of the Italian supporters and fans and whatnot give him shit about, he's underperforming in Italy and stuff like that. But yet he still scored 2 goals. And the thing is, he doesn't work to that system. There's all different systems for all different players and stuff like that. And obviously, the system wasn't working for the strikers. But, when push comes to the shove, he still scored a couple of goals. He almost hit the bar he hit the bar in the Austrian game. He did what he could and what was expected. So when you're talking about styles and where's he going to fit and stuff like that, would Big Rom be, would he fit in the system with Inzaghi in Inter? And I don't think he would. So I guess, you just got to, I think it's the best thing selling him and yeah, finding a better striker for the system.
Yeah, yeah. And realistically, when you look at Big Rom, his Champions League stats are terrible. Inter failed, but even without Inter, his stats are dreadful. When he played, I think, 6 games against Juventus and he scored 1 penalty. He only scored against Lazio because Parolo was playing central defender and we had no sort of defenders. In the big games, he pretty much went missing all the time. I believe he had about 19 goals at the halfway mark and Inter were nowhere near the lead. And then Eriksen started playing and then, he scored only like 6 goals to end the season. So I don't think that he was this sensational striker that can be relied on in the pressure cooker moments. And we've seen it with Belgium as well. He missed 2 open goals against Italy as well, virtually 2 sitters. And it's consistently when push comes to shove.
It's always against these big teams and stuff. He's nowhere to be seen, and that's not being like, I hate Big Rom is into this and this is. I'm just saying what I see, and that's my opinion. Yeah, he scores goals and that, but it's quite evident that against the bigger teams he flops in a way, and it's not just like that, because a funny story is that when we watched the Italy-Belgium game, and I told one of my mates that I was watching it with, look, because he was saying, Big Rom, you got to watch out. I go, look, if I know from what I've seen from Big Rom and bloody when Italy versed Belgium 4 years prior or 5 years against in the 2016 game, he was nowhere to be seen. In the league, same sort of thing. And the game before, like with Portugal, he flops. He does these stupid things. He can't, he's nowhere to be seen. And it was evident he did the exact same thing, had open goals, he did fuck all. So it's just a pattern, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that that's the difference between the Ronaldos and the Chiros. They get a lot of goals that actually get points for their team. They don't just get those last minute tap ins to add the 5th goal. But a lot of Inter fans are really they're kind of pissed with a lot of the bandwagon supporters. A lot of the bandwagon supporters that are during the season were, Conti's an Interista now. He hates Juventus and virtually Big Rom is, he loves Milan, and at the first sign of a big paycheck, it goes the other way. So a lot of the Inter fans are filthy with all these bandwagon sort of scum. I guess that's how it's coming across. But I'm obviously a Lazio supporter. I'm just wearing this jersey for the bit. But you're a Milan supporter, and you have been a little bit pissed with the transfer situation and how people are talking about it. So I've been talking to you, and you've confirmed to me that AC Milan decided not to renew contracts. So, are you happy with the way your club's gone about business?
Well, look, I think that. So you talking the Donnarumma situation?
Yeah, pretty much.
Look, as much as I love Donnarumma and I thought, he's especially for Italy and stuff. The thing is, when this is my opinion, when a player, a goalkeeper for that matter, is asking, well, his agent or whatever it is, 10 million a season or 10 or 12 from, I'm not too sure if his one was about 5 or 6 or whatever he was, like it's a massive jump, then how do you justify that? Like, I
Plus,
don't
plus $20 million for the agent as well.
yeah, like how do you justify a keeper? Like not even the best goalkeeper in the world at the time now is worth that, and Donnarumma wants that. How do you justify that? So at the end of the day, and I think this goes from every fan will say no player is bigger than the club. And it takes like, some clubs don't have the balls and others do. And fucking Maldini, he put it to him and he said, you either take this or you can look elsewhere. That's it. If you kiss the shirt, the badge and that, you say you love it, but then you want more money. You don't love the club, so you might as well go elsewhere. And as a fan, and who loves Milan and stuff, as much as I really like Donnarumma, if you're going to act like that, then I'll be happy for you to leave. And not only that, when it's not like we lost, this big. We didn't even buy him. So I think the story was he was a youth product, or we might have bought him for like, I think it was 200,000 or something like that. So we're not losing anything.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we're losing his wages. We'll be, in more debt if we, had to pay rah rah.
I get,
So
I guess that's a lesson that Inter should have learned. Uh, Not to pay everyone these ridiculous amounts of money, because if something happens and you got to get rid of them, then you
yeah,
find yourself selling all your big players to pay these wages. And AC Milan actually bought a credible goalkeeper. He was leading the clean sheets for Europe last season. So
better stats than Donna too.
yeah. So I think they're in good condition. So I
Yeah,
think
it's smart. It's a smart way of doing it, and I guess people that just look at it the other way, or you lost bloody 60, 80 million euros, whatever, this, that. Well, not really. We're not losing anything. We've gained a great, if not better, keeper for cheaper. Like,
well, the way I see it is that you signed this goalkeeper for like 5 years, and his total wages are virtually the manager's cost that Donnarumma was asking for. So it's you know well done to AC Milan. So this is an Inter video, so we'll leave it with that. But that's just throwing one back at Inter, I guess, for an AC Milan supporter there. But so Inter Milan supporters, you don't need to be upset. You have 9 of the 11 players that started your season last season still playing for your team. This is your time to prove that it wasn't a COVID title and it was a real title. I think that Inter should start the season favourites, because
yeah,
they did win the title. They had a big gap on top, and I think that AC Milan will contest the title with Inter, given that they're one of 2 in the top 7-8 teams that retain their coach, and I think they'll be strong. So I say we leave it at that, and Inter Milan has still got a chance. So put the tissues away and
game
forza
on.
Lazio.
So, yeah.
Please.